Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspaper around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Afeni, and he's right here with us. Great to have you, sir.
Good morning, Rufai.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Victoria, Tundu, MKO, Abiola. Yes, Ruben is not here.
We missed him.
Yes.
We missed Dr. Bati this morning.
Yes, my co-Malabite. Rufai, don't be jealous.
It's fine. It's fine.
Now, let's start this review with these day newspapers, Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story: federal government spawns UK parliamentarians' threat to sanction over rights abuse, says legislators' resolution based on fake news. Yes, say, not British government's position. Despite Nigeria's protests, CNN releases second report on Lekki shooting. Senate seeks 1% VAT to compensate states affected by NSAS protests. Yes, the federal government, through the Minister of Information, expectedly responded to that UK parliamentary hearing on rights abuses and shooting at the Lekki Toll Plaza, which took place 2 days ago. And the resolution that sanctions should be placed on Nigerian officials, not Nigeria as a country. The Minister of Information, well, brushing that aside, as it were, that is a resolution based on fake news, and that position is not UK government's position. I wonder, when the Parliament comes up with a resolution and you dismiss it as not a government position, well, the UK Parliament, not Nigeria's National Assembly, where the president can ignore resolutions passed by the National Assembly, ministers can also treat such resolutions with levity. This is a resolution from the UK Parliament, and I think if I were the minister, I would take it very seriously and respond with solid facts than just brushing it aside as fake news. Because coincidentally, on the day the minister was talking about fake news, CNN released more footages in another report confirming what they believe was shooting and killings at the Lekki Toll Plaza. So it's not a matter of when you just tag an event as fake news, like President Trump often does. And he has come to realize that it is not when you just tag an item fake news, then it just fly away as fake news.
This is the
Facts
thing.
are sacred.
This is the
and
thing.
in the fullness of time, facts will stare you in the face, just like President Trump has come to face-to-face with reality that is not, come January 2021, he will no longer be the president of the United States of America. But let's move on to other newspapers. Yes, the Daily Champion newspaper. Yes, Rufai, you were welcoming Daily Champion back to the newsstand. Yes,
back to the newsstand.
After some hiccups here and there. Daily Champion, solid newspaper in those days.
After about 15 years.
Yes, they are back and they are firing. Hopefully, not to go back to sleep. Now, the lead story of Daily Champion: South-South leaders engage federal government, demand restructuring through federalism. As any brass river crude export halted after pipeline explosions. Now, the long-awaited meeting between the federal government delegation and political leaders and opinion leaders from the South-South eventually took place yesterday after the federal government called off the meeting without notification, as it were. But the meeting took place, and the issue of restructuring, expectedly, was on the front burner. Through federalism demanded. Whether that will go beyond clamor, calls, is another matter altogether. Because for a president that is famed for body language. The body language of this president, President Muhammadu Buhari, is that, from my perception, is that you can talk all you will about restructuring through federalism, but he is standing where he has been standing since 2015. His party may pull some wool when the election is approaching. So you are setting up a committee, but the president has not changed his body language when it comes to issues of true federalism and restructuring. But the federal government delegation has said, we will take the message to the president. Will that change anything? Left to be seen. And of course, the Nigerian News Direct newspaper has the same story. South-South governors demand privatization of refineries, restructuring. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, selfish northern leaders opposing restructuring, says El-Rufai discloses why APC stepped down restructuring bill in 2018. Says APC is still committed to restructuring. Notes opposition elements don't represent not. Advocates for state police, state judicial autonomy. Advocates for state police and state judicial autonomy is game to hoodwink the unwary. Afenifere. It's all part of APC's lies to Nigerians, or Hanezi. APC government not honest with Nigerians. Pandef, of course, these socio-cultural groups, of course, because of the track record of the APC and the president on issue of restructuring, while the party, when it is convenient, come up with this sing-song about restructuring without necessarily taking any step to effect restructuring. And of course, not many believe El-Rufai when he speaks on restructuring these days, because it's like the poster boy who should always put the restructuring agenda in the front burner when it matters to the APC. Well, I stand to be disproved by the APC. We're in 2020, we still have 3 years to the end of an APC administration. So let's see what they will do, whether they will prove some of us wrong. The Daily Sun newspaper, Nigerian constitution no longer useful according to the Christian Association of Nigeria. But the Daily Trust newspaper has a different subject. APC zoning agreement should be respected in 2023. That's according to Babatunde Fashola, APC bigwig Minister of Works and Housing. Says we must deliver on our promises to retain power. There was a deal to shift power to the southwest after Buhari shifting. We'll cross the bridge when we get there, party official. This is sounding interesting because if indeed there was an agreement, written or a gentleman agreement, now Fashola is saying there was one between the southwest and the north. Because one would have thought that in 20 years of democracy, if the southwest has been tasted the presidency for 8 years, vice presidency, another possible 8 years, fairness, equity demands that the presidency should go elsewhere, preferably to some of us, the southeast, if we are to build a nation where everybody have that sense of belonging. Now, the leadership newspaper, and this, it did not affect Nigeria. $15,000 visa bond policy won't affect Nigerians. True. When I heard that report, I listened carefully as they were reading off the list. I said, good citizens, Nigerians, we don't overstay our visa.
Yes, we don't.
Yes, so
well
we are not on that list.
Yes.
For once, we're on the right side. Yeah. Now, the Guardian newspaper, Naira weakens badly as MPC retains policy rates other parameters. Food inflation to moderate as harvest starts, says Emefiele. We must avoid blind speculation. Adedipe wants. Yes, I listened to Emefiele yesterday very well, and he was almost crying when he talked about analysts who use the black market to rate the value of the naira. And it was quite instructive to know that with all the hue and cry about the black market, that's only 5%, according to the CBN governor, and he should know, of the foreign exchange transaction. So, according to him, it's not appropriate, it's not proper to be using what is happening in the black market to be talking about the value or devaluation of the Nigerian currency.
I'd like to comment on that and give a quick insight as regards how very harmful this role of speculators can be. And I'll take you back to 1992, Black Wednesday, when the British economy fell. There was a certain man called George Soros that was betting
You'll never forgive George Soros.
That was betting heavily against the British pound. And it affected the British pound so badly. George Soros became a billionaire from that, but it affected the pound so badly. So that's the effect of speculators.
The speculation.
So we should be careful.
And George Soros will never live it down.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Tundu, you will be interested in Biden's picks. Yesterday, his team bought one pick that will interest Tundu, which he has been clamoring for, affirmative action. Janet Yellen will be the next Treasury Secretary of the United States, the first woman to hold that position. Are you happy?
I'm delighted. So far, so good with Biden's picks.
Yes.
But who I'm really looking forward to now is the Education Secretary. I cannot wait to see the back of Betsy DeVos. She was a disaster. So I'd like another woman, hopefully, to replace her.
And I'm really excited. But I think it's a great disservice to say affirmative action for Janet Yellen. I think she's most deserving in the country. She was
no, she's not.
No, but you know, that's the thing
very
with Biden's cabinet.
Very
well experienced.
So qualified.
Well experienced.
Round pegs in round holes.
So qualified.
Another one.
And no relatives.
No relatives. No hunter yet.
We're not having a Saddam Hussein, Trump style.
and another pick for me that was very exciting was Director of Intelligence.
Are competent and qualified. What is wrong with that?
No,
I mean, that's a talk for another day.
Nepotism is a bit dodgy.
One of the Chinese stars of the Trump administration is the young in-law.
And another
who brokered the so-called Middle East deal.
Jared Kushner. Chinese star. It depends on who you ask.
It depends on who you ask. And let's not be like Turkey. You know, because when you look, nations that put relatives in government are nations that are sort of like dictatorial. Trump was sort of like dictatorial. Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan put his son-in-law as the finance minister, and he ruined the economy.
He had to sack him.
He had to sack him in the end. In fact, he sacked himself before they sacked him. Another thing I'm excited about is Avril Haines, the director of intelligence.
For the first time,
another woman, very capable. Number
capable,
two, very capable. Number two in command.
Experience.
Yeah. First woman, number two in command in that role.
Joe Biden is ticking all the right boxes, as it were, as we count down to January 20, when he will become the 46th president of the United States of America. And his peak, as well as Trump's climb down on transition, as well as what is happening in the coronavirus, has also helped the stock market. The Wall Street Journal reporting that the Dow Jones Industrial Average surged past 3,000 for the first time. And it means what is happening with Trump's go-ahead for the transition, although it has not conceded, is having a salutary effect on the markets. And of course, market experts like Bosim Ofai will tell you that good news push stocks up also.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Fenny. I mean, nobody cares about his concession any longer. I mean, we've moved on from Trump already. Moving on, all right? That's all on